Hello, back for the final hour. Yes, this is us seeing out Blue Monday, and it hasn't been so blue, guys. It's not been too bad. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you guys live this week or today. It's just been we don't get to do this as much as we used to, so I must admit, guys, I have really enjoyed this. Right, I am monitoring the chat. You will be seeing us on, I think we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch. I'm monitoring most of the chats, but it's the Twitch ones I'm specifically monitoring today because, well, it was selected. So we've got a few more fog and frictions that we're going to give away. So make yourself known in the chat rooms to let us know that you're there as we spin out this final hour of chillaxed hobby hangouts.
Oh man, I think we've got some reprobates from the unofficial hobby hangout have wandered in based on the PD wheat straw comments there.
Oh,
Straw.
Right, Benno.
Yes.
Give me my first project, my man.
Cool. Okay, well, the first of these projects is a fantastic one by the one and only Piers.
It is.
Who many folks will know for doing historical bits and pieces, of course. Bit of battle group here and there, of course. But Piers has also done some really interesting stuff when it comes to Warhammer-y Games Workshop stuff as well. So one of the cool things he's done in a previous project is that he went and dived into Mordheim using old Hammer miniatures, right? Now in this one, he's playing Rogue Trader, but he's doing it with modern miniatures from Games Workshop.
Nice.
And he's tinkering around with them and painting them up as exceptionally as you might have imagined he does. So one of the cool things about this as well is that Piers hates painting plastic. So this has also been an exercise in like getting over that and diving into painting plastic, which has been pretty cool. But all of these just make me want to go back to that style of 40k from back in the day.
I tell you what, that black dude with the shiny face, I love that. I absolutely flipping love that. Just that one tiny detail made that many for me. Yeah, that paint job, that matte black coat, but then the contrast with the gloss on the face.
Yeah.
Incredible. I know it's simple. But I think that's why I'm so enamored with it. It's such a simple thing, but man, does that make a difference. Love it.
Really does. And it's been fascinating seeing how many different kits come together to create these. Like I believe at the start when he was showing off all the rule books and all the miniatures and stuff that had been collecting for this, there are sprues upon sprues of things that he's kind of kit bashed together and built up to create this collection. And it's come together to create these amazing miniatures that you see here that have been painted so astonishingly well. And again, remind me of the artwork from those old books, that sort of inspired everyone to dive into Warhammer 40,000 in the first place, really.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it's not Space Marines, if you know what I mean. Like it's the unfortunate dregs of society that are stuck in the grim dark future of the 41st millennium that have to deal with all the stuff in the background while the Space Marines go off and become all the poster boys and that kind of thing.
It's probably because it is based on Rogue Trader is one of the reasons why you get this, because Space Marines were so few and far between in Rogue Trader. The whole idea was that some members of the Imperium would go their whole lives without ever seeing a Space Marine. They were the thin line for humanity and almost fictional. So it was these type of gangers, the sort of 2000 AD grimy scumbags, I think is the best way of putting it, that would be more typical. And you had the games of Rogue Trader was more like playing out an RPG on the tabletop, and he's done some tremendous stuff. A lot of these, I'm assuming, comes courtesy of the Gene Stealer box, because it has that sort of feel to it.
Yeah, it's the cultist set for them.
But then there's an Ungor head on this Abhuman over here on the left. One of the Inquisitors start with a silver head. I'm fairly certain is the
It's a mask
Empire
from the
Wizard.
Empire Wizard.
Yeah,
set.
it's the metal, the gold wizard.
Gold Wizard.
Yeah, but it's just all come together to make a stunning setup.
That's
a really weird. Just the way that's photographed almost looks like a render.
Yeah,
it does oddly, doesn't it? But the thing that's I like about these as well is that it takes you back to why a lot of people and why I dived into 40K when I did, is because it was like fantasy to a certain degree, but with like all these other things bolted onto it. So you've got things like the Beastman style heads that give you that idea of the abhumans. You've got folks with like the purity seals on them that you sort of like attribute to knights and stuff from the past and that kind of thing as well. And sort of it's that clash between swords and blasters and big guns that is always fun. So
yeah, engines here. The volume won't go up on the mic. This is something that Lloyd throws peanuts at my head for on a regular basis. I'm just too softly spoken. Sorry. Try and shout more.
It's all right. I'll translate for you. Okay.
I'm pretty certain
basically, any mumble you hear is probably, well, I've already got that in my collection. More bigger.
I do have that. If that is the Eversor Assassin base, and I think it is, I do have that in my collection, and I'm pretty sure I've got that spare head. Don't have this gun now.
I was going to say you could nearly make your own. Yeah.
Stunning stuff.
So 87 Collins wants to know, Jerry, if we enrage the Jerry, will he get louder? No, he just gets more dangerous.
Yeah. Just the tone goes down subsonic until the point where people foul themselves.
He's a walking human brown note.
You can see why Free didn't want to come back. Huh? Shall we move on?
Yes, let's. Jerry, give us your rumble of love for the next project.
Well, this rumble of love is for Ugleb, and one of several stunning Hellboy projects on the system. There was one that's very comic book based, where they have very harsh lighting. This one is more traditionally painted, and looks absolutely phenomenal for that. And he's been working through the whole. He's gone through the whole starter set and has moved into the big box of evil. So here we can see a Prussian vampire, because Prussian vampires, that's what you want in life.
Yeah. I've been listening to Hellboy audiobooks with my boys,
right?
As a bit of bedtime listening. So it is, and I have yet to hear or see about a Prussian vampire. This is completely new to me.
All right. Oh, spoilers then. You will run into Hecate, some sort of giant snake, vampire, Greek mythological being, and one of her sons is this gentleman. You can see where he got the inspiration for the uniform, because you rarely see the actual, in Mike Mignola's style, you don't see intricate
the colors.
Yeah. But he's found this piece of artwork and has decided to go nuts for the prince. And this is just one of many, many, many entries throughout as he delves into the various big box of evil.
Yeah.
So we've got.
It's kind of cool looking at it and seeing it all come together, because more often than not, they'll he'll show off the things he's painted next to the versions of them from the comic books that he's found. Yeah. So it's really nice to look at it and be like, oh my God, that's where that fits in. And it's like a double thing, because to begin with, you're like, oh, fantastic, you've painted something that actually was in the comic books. And then you're like, holy crap, Mantic put so much stuff in here from all the different comic books.
Yeah. So. Enormous, yeah.
Oh, they really did. I can use the big box of evil and the Kickstarter edition as a gaming table. They're not that big.
Holy
here we see, the Hellboy in Mexico. So when you want to go for your El Luchador Mexican fighter vampire bats, then that is also a thing that can be done. Along with.
Now, he's the dude that I saw at the start of the latest Hellboy movie, isn't he?
Yes, weirdly, the most recent Hellboy movie, # the worst Hellboy movie, is also the closest to the comic books. It just doesn't come across that.
Strangely enough.
So the whole fight in the I was going to say the arena in the wrestling ring,
yes,
is doable on the tabletop with not only those but also various undead conquistadors and witches and ghouls. I really love these.
I've played the Hellboy board game myself, and I really like it. I think it's a lot of good fun, and I'm really looking forward to what they do. Well, if they do anything more in the future. I know they've also been talking about some expansion content and stuff. So
they're revisiting Hellboy this year, but beyond Hellboy. So if you've got the Hellboy and the expansions, you can get all of this, and that more or less covers the main Hellboy storylines. So you've got Rasputin, you've got the Conquistadors, the witches, Baba Yaga, all of those, as you can see throughout this project. But Mike also did a lot of stuff about just the BPRD and the regular agents who aren't Hellboy and who aren't Liz. And so the follow-up Kickstarter is going to be expansions that focus on those guys and the stories they have, because there's a whole host of comics that they're Hellboy universe but not Hellboy based. So,
which is cool.
So I think that's due summery time.
That'd be cool.
But yeah,
honestly, I'm kicking myself missing out on this one purely because I enjoyed the Hellboy RPG so much.
Yeah, it was good fun. That was it.
I want these, just for the RPG.
Yeah.
It's because it is really good. I really enjoyed it. So,
I'm not sure how many we have, but there's at least a copy of the basic game in the studio, because myself and Sam played a Let's Play many moons ago. So you can at least get your hands on Hellboy and Friends anyway, and they come with I think they come with busts as well to mark off your play.
They do, yeah.
So and this we're halfway through this. As you can see, this is a massive
huge project,
labor of love, but well worth checking out. I think we give him a golden button in the past. If not, we should probably rectify that.
I'm fairly sure we're giving him a button for something in this.
I remember.
I reckon that one, if that one hasn't had a golden button, I think it's a fairly safe bet that in the coming weeks that one might.
If only Lloyd was here, look, Undead Varangian Guard. They could use them for Saga with the Touch of Magic.
Right, what's next?
So next up, we're going back to the grimdark future, and we're looking into some work by Artemis 5150, or 5150, maybe, if you want to go that way. And this is a set of the Blackstone Fortress game from Games Workshop, nice. That has been painted up really, really nicely, put onto clear bases because it's a board game skirmisher. So, of course, you've got to do that so you can see the lovely artwork from underneath it. Probably takes more work, but, it looks good, obviously. So, yeah, fantastic. But the thing that I liked about this, again, just really rock solid painting and working on a lot of stuff from the 41st millennium that you don't necessarily get to see on the tabletop that often. So, for example, a Kroot. Ha 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 ha. Lloyd's not here. Ha 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 ha. He can't see the Kroot. But yeah, some stunning characters from the main cast of, there. And of course, all the different creatures and robots and that kind of thing have all been painted up really nicely as well. Lots of good detail work put into these, good highlighting, good shading and all that kind of thing as well, that really brings them to life. And all the little details been picked out as well. So when you look at some of the main characters, for example, you've got the script written onto one of the characters' sort of like lanyard that sort of hangs down. There you go.
This gentleman.
Yeah, well, the one, but on that one, you've got all the work on the book, which is just insane, which is great. And on the other one before that, you've also got like all the writing down.
All the way down. Spirit level head. He's there to make sure all the shelves are at the correct height for the books.
It's interesting, because I have a spirit level that looks almost exactly like that, with that weird kind of angular kind of thing. So I'm just going to go up and put it on my head. And the beauty of it is, the bit that I would stick on my head is magnetic, so it'll stick on my metal plate. So boom.
You could go along with Justin whenever he's role-playing as an Imperial Guardsman. Here you go, Spirit level head, who probably ranks him based on his awesome cloth. Oh no!
We have a broken image.
There's a broken one there, but there are loads and loads of fantastic images in here. One of them towards the bottom, which is really nice as well, which we'll get to in a little second, is the amble, which has been painted up amazing. Like the amble's one of the cool characters from this sort of what they did for Blackstone Fortress anyway. But seeing the version painted up here was
get
just
down to him. Do we see him? Where is he?
all the way down at the bottom. There he is.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I just love the painting on the organics there. Just looked fantastic. So
it's really nice. There's some places where it looks like it's contrast with edge highlights done afterwards. So it's taking contrast to get the color and tones down quickly, and then going in and doing additional detailing and definition afterwards.
I don't think I've ever painted an edge highlight in my life.
I've tried it a couple of times.
I'm just thinking, I don't think I've ever done it ever. I must do it.
I would suggest just live with it. Live with the fact that you haven't. Bask in the knowledge that you've never started to put an edge highlight on and then accidentally messed it up and had to go, or now I've got to go back and fix everything.
Where it is
now covered
a badge of honor. Yeah. I've never done an edge highlight ever.
Just get a t-shirt.
I'm just going to say,
t-shirt and walk around Golden Demon. I've never edge highlighted a miniature.
To Demon Sub in the chat, I think clear bases for core space is a very good idea. Yeah, very good idea.
It's funny, we were looking at this, and in some of the pictures, the edge really stands out, and in other ones, it almost blurs away. I think if you can find them, get them as thin as you can.
Yeah, I know a lot.
Or do what I do, and make your own. Get yourself a 1-inch punch, clear acetate, and that's how I make my clear bases. And I make it as thin as possible, and I use it for Hero Quest, and it basically just pretty much disappears.
Yeah,
pretty much disappears. So
weirdly, Renedra have a set. I know how you get the Renedra bases for bolt action, and they've got that weird texture on them. They do a set of clear rounds as well, and they've got that little texture on the bottom, and you're looking at it going, it's very frosted looking. This isn't going to work. And when you set it down onto like a mat, it more or less disappears as well. You know,
really?
How does that work? That makes no sense, Renedra. Now, it's not as super shiny as these. It's matter, which may also help.
Right.
Because you're not having to deal with a high gloss reflection of it. But I was very impressed with them, weirdly. I only bought them because they were the same price. And I was like, how weird is that? Let's see what they're like. I put sand over the top of them and forget that they exist. But yeah, stunning stuff. Really nice to see a set completed as well.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to give something away.
I was going to say, Taurus has called you out, by the way. He said a punch, but that means round bases. Heresy.
Yeah. I do them as well. My Hero Quest are round bases. We're going to give a prize to Johnny Six Whiskers. Okay.
Okay.
Is he a member of the mob? Because it sounds like
good old Johnny Six Whiskers. Whiskers. Is it Six Sisters? Did I just say? He says, really enjoyed OTT today. Thanks. My gaming jive has been really low. I ended up selling the vast majority of my gaming collection over these past couple of months. Totally lost interest from isolation, but today has stoked that fire again. Thanks. Well, we're going to send you a copy of Fog and Friction, mate, to start to see if we can rebuild that collection a bit more, because we know how tough it's been. And I know that as soon as I saw Johnny Six Whiskers, I recognized the name. You've been a member of our community for many, many years, man. So it's the least we can do to get something over to you to play. So the team will find a way to reach out to you, or if you ping a message to Ben and or Jerry, and make them known yourself.
We've just been throwing them all into the prize claim form over on Tabletop, so anybody who's won today can get it from there.
Okie dokie. Yep.
If you're not aware of that, it is.
That'll do. I will get. There you go. So there's a link there for you, John. If you
hear your name, go and check it out. Yeah.
If you hit that up, we'll get you sorted out.
If you don't see it there immediately, it's because I only put them up after we've stopped streaming.
Oh, hang on. You would have only have got it into the Twitch. Let me circulate that just a little bit wider. Yep. There we go. Boom, boom.
Ooh.
Boom.
Look at you with your multiple.
I know. I've got this fancy multi-stream kind of thing that just sends stuff everywhere.
It's the equivalent of taping 5 pencils together to write lines out when you're at school. Anyway,
Exactly.
on that note, this is a fella who's, I think he's a novice, just starting off.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
His name is
Yeah.
John Lee Ons.
No, you're going to sicken me here, guys, because like my Conquest is still in a packing box somewhere. I'm trying to get it through them.
This is exactly why I've picked it. So I wanted to take an opportunity just to show off what John has been doing recently, because he managed to get stuck into the milestone 2. Obviously, we're on milestone 4 at the moment, but John's working away in the background and other things as well. But this is a fantastic selection of additional options that he painted up for the Nords force that has been growing steadily in the background. And one, I wanted to pick it because they're the Nords and they look awesome. 2, that Jotnar is amazingly well painted. I really like him. And also, look at that badass with the sword, man. Just amazing. But yeah, it just shows what you can do with contrast paints, basically. Yeah.
I tell you, man, I saw these. I took a trip into the studio just before Christmas, and these were sitting pretty much where Jonah's working, and I was looking at them going, holy smokes, boy. You know, for something that you've been basically pulling together super quick with contrast paints, you know, it's because like he hasn't had, you know, we really have been pushing it to say, look, just get it out there with contrast paints, show folk what they can do without having to spend a lifetime doing it. And he has, you know, yeah, you'll see mold lines and stuff like that, but that's all quite deliberate.
It's designed so that it can be gamed with as quickly as possible. Basically, that's the main thing. Isn't it?
Yeah, and believe me, the mold lines, like John did say, and I said, no, just do what an average hobbyist would do. So just get it on there, and let's show some painted stuff. You know, because I'll be honest, I couldn't care less about mold lines and stuff myself. I just love to see a colorful army on the tabletop. I just think it's a sight to behold. So he's doing a cracking job on it.
I was going to say, one of the nice things about this scheme that Johnston, and we talked about it on the Weekender where he went through the original milestone with us, but I like that the main scheme of the Nords isn't like a blue. Like it tends to be when it comes to the Nords, whenever you do anything like that, they go with blue because of the kind of ice connotations and that kind of thing. But I really like that John went with the sort of warmer colors of the greens and the browns and the yellows on these instead. And I think it really sets them apart and sort of puts them more into like it develops a bit more of a narrative for them that I think steps away from that idea of like these northern raiders, and you get the idea that these guys have come down from their villages and, you know, across the seas, and they are now fighting in maybe a foreign land, for example. And I think it really nicely builds onto the sort of story that you tell with the army, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It also makes the larger creatures stand out more.
Yes.
As if they have, you know, they are a different race, they've been pulled in. Whereas I think if you went blue across the board with the regular Nords, it would look a little bit, not weird per se, but it would look like they're just giant fat versions of the small people. It look like you run about with Smurfs. And by having the different skin tones, it sort of defines them a bit more. He's done a terrific job with them.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It really is good.
Let's leave this place.
Yes, please.
And here's one I can see from the hexagonal barrel right off the bat. That has popped up on occasions, courtesy of Ben. And we were talking about it one week, and I think the minute we stopped talking about it and filming, possibly even a weekender, a post went up just literally like 15 minutes later with a new piece of content.
It did, yeah.
So this is a Steampunk Smog Raiders.
So this is an army that's been designed to match the Greywater Fastness city within the world of Age of Sigmar. So this is a place where they have, as Jerry was alluding to there, like brought in a lot more of that steampunk aesthetic to the army. And so this means that for the army itself, not only has Kronos the Traveller brought in the idea of like 40k bits and pieces, but there's other things from other game ranges in here as well, all sort of piled together to create this really awesome looking army that is designed for a fantasy game, but could easily fit into a whole bunch of other things as well.
I don't know what it is, Ben, but I could almost see that. So Free League did that RPG based on your man's art, which was like the
things from
things from the Flood and Tales of the Loop.
The mechanical things kind of in the background, but I could see a World War One photograph with that photoshopped into the back of it. I love that.
It's definitely definitely the style of things like the board game Scythe, for example. It really definitely fits into that artwork and that style. So,
that is tremendous. Love it. Yep.
And the cool thing about it as well, going back to kind of what we've seen from a couple of the other projects we've looked at already for this sort of segment, is there's just so much kit bashing going on. There's so much sort of like, oh, I'm going to take that from this and that from this, build it all together to create these fascinating new miniatures. That again are probably going to look nothing else on the tabletops when this finally gets to the table. And that's just amazing to me that someone can take this much time and effort. The thing that I really want to see, I want to see some more painted stuff. I said this before when we looked at it in an XLBS, I think, but I'm like, oh God, I want to see more of this painted.
You get painted stuff. You get it regular as clockwork once every 7 to 8 months, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Painted.
Look at that.
But these, and I mean, they're like Dark Eldar Scourges, but they're using the Ornithopter's batwing type things from that flappy helicopter that we all hated. Mm-hmm. And it's like, let's go with that. And it looks not dissimilar to something like Marvel's Vulture now. I imagine he's just hunting Spider-Man through the streets of the Greywater fastness.
Yeah. Absolutely stunning miniatures. And it's just great every time you pop into this and see something new that's come to, their mind. And again, just brilliant. And I love that it'll all be sort of ready to go in like an Age of Sigmar force at some point, and someone's going to see that laid down in front of them when they play them as like an opponent and be like, whoa, that's awesome, dude, kind of thing. So yeah, very cool. If you can't tell, I'm quite enamored by this project.
We have
that is a good one. That is a good one. Right, who's next?
So next up, I would be remiss without including this in our
right, and welcome to the end of the stream.
Whoa. Okay, so this is 144 artist, right? Who quite rightly deserves some kind of award, I think, because as many
look how many recommendations that project's got.
Oh, can somebody who's recommended take 2 away and then we'd have it leaked?
I was going to say, as many people in the community have said, 144 Artist is a little bit of an inspiration when it comes to painting. Not just because they paint boroughs and badges, although of course that is amazing, but because they really go into depth, showing off like all the bits and pieces they're doing, all the work in progress and that kind of stuff as well. And it's just an inspirational set of miniatures that has got me back from the brink of, I don't really want to paint anything at the moment. Some 144 Artist stuff has popped up. I'll check it out. Fine. I'll paint some more boroughs and badges. It's
an otter wizard.
Artist. We love you, man.
Spiritual mascot. I love the stars on his wizardy cloak, because that's how you can tell he's a proper wizard. It's a navy cloak with stars.
But no, stunning stuff that has routinely impressed me and puts my own Boroughs and Badgers stuff to shame. Although I should say we should never view anything that anybody ever paints in that kind of light. Never be downtrodden by other people's painting. Instead, be uplifted, because soon you might get to the stage where you're painting things like that and all that kind of stuff. And always be comfortable with the stage you're at as well. So messages of hope.
Very supportive, Ben. That's very supportive, man.
For those of us who can't paint tartan and can't do OSL.
The OSL on that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is lovely, isn't it? It's such a piece.
And this is definitely one of those projects that you could spend hours scrolling through and going, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice.
You could. So, because there's a wealth in there. And it's not like he's going to run out of any Birds and Badger stuff anytime soon because they keep releasing more.
New Kickstarter coming soon.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Bear in mind.
Well, I say soon. I say soon. It might be a couple of months down the line, depending on how things turn.
I'm sure you'll remind us, Ben.
Oh, I will. It'll be in the news.
Oh, it'll be in the weekend.
Okay, who's next?
So next up, we are moving into the Cold War Gone Hot.
Nice.
And so this is Draco84Rs, who has been painting up some really awesome looking bits and pieces for use in Team Yankee, as you might have imagined, by the Cold War Gone Hot. And yeah, I just thought it was really fun diving in and checking out what's been painted here because, I'm trying to like bring John through in sort of like a spiritual manner because I know nothing about these tanks, but I think they look awesome. And hopefully somewhere he's going, that's exactly what that is. That's what that is. That's an amazing, I can't believe they painted that. So
as soon as Jerry clicks back, I'll tell you exactly what they are.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say right off the bat, somewhere John is going, they're not tanks.
I think they're FV432s from recollection. Oh, yeah, there they are. Oh, no, they're not.
We can't even blag our way through it. But no, these are just brilliantly painted, and I like the work on the tanks is great anyway. But I always like seeing the infantry painted up for these kind of games. Like I always, I think I've said it to death really, but it's really nice looking at Flames of War and Team Yankee on the tabletop, right? But I'm always like, where's the goddamn infantry, man? I know there's loads of tanks and stuff, and people like tanks, but seriously. Like, have some infantry because they are like the backbone of armies, right? So
Right. Well, here, wait. I'm with you there, but I think I've got your back, right? Because whenever I get back to my Moderns project, okay, it's 15 mil, and it's hugely based around models from the Team Yankee range. Mm-hmm. And if you can imagine 1980s kind of special forces kind of things, we could totally do that. Where you could get like the 1980s are kind of the Navy SEALs. We could have, who was in it? Charlie Sheen was in it. So we'd have a little Charlie Sheen mini running around.
Was in it.
And it would do everything because it's got tiger blood. So we'd let him do his tiger blood thing all around the place. Okay. And we're totally on it. I love this range. I absolutely love this range. And yeah, I'm doing it. I'm kind of pulling it forward a little bit. So the stuff I'm doing is actually more 1990s Iraq,
right? Yeah,
up to 2000s Afghanistan kind of thing. But so much of this range does come forward into that era. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. Love it.
And yeah, it's just nice seeing all the work that's gone into this one. Again, like a lot of historical gamers. They've gone in and done sort of like all the research on the camo patterns and that kind of thing. So it's nice if you want to use it as a reference tool if you're going to be playing as the Brits yourself and that kind of thing as well. So if you're into Team Yankee and you like this kind of period, definitely go check it out.
So Vlad the Impaler was resurrected.
I think I'm going to watch Delta Force tonight. I think I'm going to stick some Chuck Norris on now because you just totally got me in the mood. I might even subject my kids to watching Delta Force. When do you see a proper movie?
Subject. That's a treat.
Yeah, you would think so, Jerry. You would think so. But I sat my children down to watch Die Hard at Christmas, and they complained that it wasn't a Christmas movie. What sort of imbeciles have I raised?
They know not what they say.
What do they say? And I only got them to watch half of it. So that was all right. I sat down and I watched the rest of it myself, like the little red hen. And I enjoyed every minute of it.
Cool, yeah. Before we move on to the next project, shall we give away? We've got 2 more copies of Fog and Friction to give away. So do you want to give away one more, Warren?
Yes, let's do that. And the winner of the next copy of Fog and Friction is Dutch Jaffo. I'm only kidding, Ben. I'm only kidding, man.
I was about to type furiously into Discord.
Sorry, Dutch. I couldn't resist, man. You're not getting a third coffee now. Right. So let me see who's in there. Let's see who's been nice and helping people out. Okay. Spanky Taz. Spanky Taz is helping out PC Gaming Twitch, and they're discussing how to build a pile of shame. So Spanky Taz is currently giving a little bit of advice on adding a 3D printer to his mix to really ramp up the pile of shame. So there you go, my man. You've just got yourself a copy of Foggin' Friction.
Scratchy Wells done.
Booyah.
Right.
I would like to say it is pronounced pride. It's pile of pride. I don't know why people keep thinking it starts with a sh.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah. Do you know what? He's right. He's right. But, this is Blue Monday. We've got to be positive. We're going to call it the pile of pride. Pop. So from now on, it's pop, because POS could be anything, really, when you think about it. Right. Who's next?
Next,
I'm keeping an eye out for the nice and the friendly folk in the chat. So just leave it with me, and somebody will say something, and it'll click with me, and I'll say that they're going to be a winner.
Next, we are heading to another extraordinary project that has been going for quite a while, from Alfonso the Traitor.
Look at the scores on that.
Yep.
Every time you think he stops, he brings something back.
There are more samurai. So yes, this is the Heaven and Earth Samurai project, which has been growing exponentially since we opened the project system. I believe this was even like taking up pages and pages in the "What are you painting now" thread back in the day as well. But
in fact, I heard people in the "What are you painting now" thread petition to have the project system started just so they wouldn't have flood of samurai on them. Hashiguru up the wazoo. Nobody wants that.
It's an incredible project. Love me.
And this is again is one of those things where they clearly put so much effort and pride into this and brought it together, and all the characters in such an amazing way. And there are so many different clans now, I think, in this that have sort of come together, that I'm fairly sure at this point Alfonso could probably just play out the entire of the battle for Japan and sort of like the warring states and stuff by himself now. But one of the things that I quite like about this, just as a whole, it's obviously nice to see the painted miniatures and that kind of thing, but every so often you'll see a really nice sort of like dressed table with all the characters on it and all the miniatures and all the armies put together, and it just looks amazing when you see like samurai charging down the hills towards ranks of Ashigaru spearmen and that kind of thing as well. And again, I always look at this and I'm like, maybe someday Lloyd will see this and build his Japanese army, but he won't. But yeah,
no, he won't.
That's because he's too busy building drone terrain. So
yeah,
he is. He should be. He's not yet though. And it's an interesting one because it is very historic, but it also is, I believe, is Kings of War, Kingdoms of Men army. So it's a fantasy army as well, just through the addition of some random bits and pieces. So every now and again you'll see something that is Asian myth or fantasy just thrown in, and that's so he could throw it on the tabletop for that as well. Look, making spruce and fir wargaming trees. You could watch his video on how to do that, Ben.
I could do that, and then I wouldn't have any excuse.
And then not. Yeah. And
I have
we will never get through all of this.
Super easy way for you to do it at the moment now, Ben. If you go along to your local B&Q, right? They sell a hedgehoggy looking thing that you put into your
gutter brush. It's called a gutter hedgehog.
Your drain pipe. Yeah. So you stick it up in your pipe, and basically it stops things from clogging your pipe. Right.
Always handy.
Oh, always handy. A must in these times. I've got to say. Anyway, if you get that, and then you can just get wire cutters and cut it into tree lengths. Okay. And then you just trim them up into little Christmas trees. And
that sounds effective.
There you go. And you don't even have to paint them, because if you get them in black, it can just be the Black Forest.
Ta-ha.
Oh, ta-ha.
It is for anybody playing along at home. It is exactly the stuff that GW used to sell the trees and exactly. The ones in the background there that you can see where they're like twisted and flocked. They're called gutter hedgehogs, and you can buy them by the meter. And yeah, I think the last time I priced it for like a tenner or £15, you could fill a board with nothing but trees of a variety of sizes and shapes.
Cool.
So yeah, gutter hedgehogs are great.
Wicked.
Don't buy them off Amazon, you'll get ripped off.
I'm also going to point out again, we're looking at these amazing table shots of the samurai, and these are the things that draw me in because they remind me of like reading White Dwarf and all the other magazines back in the day and being like, oh my god, I want these armies. It's just this is the way that I think all wargaming armies should be displayed at some point.
I can but dream. I mean, my train would probably be done, but all of the miniatures would be grey.
This is what gaming clubs and stores are for, though, because I know so many people who come down to my local gaming store and bring their armies just to photograph them on the terrain, and then they just take them away again.
That's nice. That's nice, and it's that here, only clubs and stores could offer that.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's that's really heartwarming. Actually, I know it sounds a bit odd, but it's really nice that if and when that happens in our store, and I always love to see that because the store owner gets a sense of the appreciation of their work, putting the tables and the terrain and stuff together, and you get that sense of that person believes that that's going to accentuate their army, and it's just everybody taking a little bit of pride in the work that they've done. Love it. Love that. Yes.
You often see it whenever Bob's been over for boot camp. Generally, a project or pictures will appear where he's just sat and taken bucket loads of pictures of stuff. Like for the Flames of War boot camp, he brought stuff with him, and then there was just a whole host of diorama and scenic like pictures taken afterwards of them coming up and over. But yeah, it's stunning.
87 Collins has just posted a link to Amazon for a hedgehog gutter brush. Okay?
That's the stuff.
That's the stuff. 4 meters of it for £12.
See,
and believe me, you'll get a couple of trees out of 4 meters.
Oh yeah,
really
one or three. Yeah.
Right, who's next?
So next up, we are returning to the realm of Conquest, and we're looking at what Ulverbite has done, because they have joined us on the path of Conquest and painted up some smexy spires, as you can see here. I don't know why I did it in that voice, but I did. So
we felt best not to ask.
But yeah, stunning work on these miniatures, painting them really fantastically, giving them lots of life and vibrance to them. Really nice work on the miniatures, as you can see, but also the bases just look fantastic. But yeah. Sundancer's on board with Smexy Spires. That's okay. That's great.
Don't listen to him.
Remember, folks, you can tune in to the unofficial Hobby Hangout tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So if you're enjoying your live stuff, be sure to tune in for Sundancer's unofficial but amazing Hobby Hangouts on Tuesday night. There you go.
But yeah,
Crispin, wind your neck in. Come on, pun dancer, just wind your neck in, son.
But yeah, a stunning looking army, and again shows off what you can do with the spires, because as we've discussed with Jerry's schemes and that kind of things, there's no end to what you can do with the spires. You can play around with them and tinker with the paint schemes to make them look however you like, because they're grown for battle for these individuals that lead the spires armies. So if they had a particular fancy of the way they wanted an army to look, then they'd go for it, kind of thing. So if you have a particular scheme in mind for these, you can pretty much go in any direction you want, really. Which is really cool.
He has put on bowstrings.
Yeah.
He's even put on the arrows, which I'd never even bothered. I looked at that and went, the arrows are separate. You say, they're not going on then.
You can use them in the future for a diorama where they've pricked the back of some knight.
Or I could just stab a load of them through shields and stick them onto Berserker bunnies. Whatever's easiest.
On the Berserker bunny, yes.
Yeah, it's a stunning.
Another wonderful project. Right. Well, we have time for one more, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up for the night.
Do you want to pick a specific one then, Benjamino, or do you want me to?
Well, the next one says 15 millimeter something.
I was gonna move past that one maybe and look at Panzer Kaput stuff potentially.
Right. Well.
Okay then. Okay.
We could probably do both because the samurai one's not got too much in it.
All right, let's do both then, because I can't go past the 15 mil for goodness sake.
Right. So yes, this is, as you might imagine, 15 mil samurai for use in Saga.
Drink.
And I just wanted to pick this one out because I don't think I'd really looked at it too closely in the past, but I was very intrigued by it because it was at this smaller scale, and I was really interested to see how in particular Jerry would view this and kind of like use it in Saga. Does it look like it would match up quite nicely and all that kind of thing? The painting of the miniatures looks great, as you can see. Really nice detail on them, and obviously a little transfer work on there.
Yeah. I really hope it's transfer work, because if it's hand painted, somebody's getting their fingers broke. But yeah, it's stunning. There isn't actually a samurai version of Saga at the moment, although we all know it's coming because there've been pictures of samurai kicking around for a while now in the rule book and in the Book of Battles, I think. So it will come. It's just a matter of whether they slot it in before another one of the ancient books. Yeah. But I love this because even if you're not using it specifically for feudal Japan, you could be using it for Age of Magic, because they have guns, they have various bits and bobs in there that you can substitute this in to be a legendary kingdoms, I think, possibly, where it's a humanoid force they've got a bit higher technology than the other people around them, which kind of strikes me as being perfect for samurai and feudal Japanese. Yeah, and it's absolutely terrific because it's unlike where I've gone. I'm going to keep the same scale and play on the same size board, 4x3. Obviously, here they've gone 15 mil individual basing, which means then you can play on a much smaller board and get the same feel out of the game. Or, I mean, if you want, you can just keep the scaling, but I think just dropping from inches to centimeters and pulling the board size down to something that's going to be like 2 foot by 1 foot type of thing. You can practically play a full game on your lap. It's just
which I think it's cool. Like 15 mils, the way that I've been thinking to go for diving into making a Viking and Anglo-Saxon army, just going 15 mil, picking up the stuff from Fortune in Battle, which we looked at on a weekend or a couple of weeks ago now, and just sort of taking that as the way to go, really. But I did read through the project. The decals are custom made by Misk Minis. There you go. So it wasn't someone with the tidiest hand imaginable who did that. So
that's all right. Your fingers will remain unbroken. Well done.
Yeah. Apparently, as well, one thing that's quite interesting about this one is that they'd only painted samurai in 28 mil scale before this. So this was going off in a different direction, of course, and sort of painting it in 15 mil, which is pretty awesome.
I will say it probably explains why there's the amount of highlighting on it that you probably wouldn't get from somebody who's done a lot of 15 mil, where they go, "No, I don't need to. Thank you.
I don't need to do that." Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people, when they drop down in scales for the first time, they will try and put the same amount of detail, shading, and highlighting in. Just totally unnecessary.
No, there's a trick to this, guys. You don't put the same amount of detail in. What you do is you put more guys to a base.
Yeah, more people.
And that's it, because it's about the texture of the thing rather than the individual paint jobs. So there you go.
These ones are 15 mil.
This brings us to our final project, and this is from Panzer Kaput, who has, as this states, unfortunately, his Greek army fell on the floor and shattered into a million pieces. But this is the result of him remaking all of it and getting it all back in working order. And not only painting up a massive collection just of Greeks, but obviously this is made up of Athenians and Spartans for use.
What's he doing to that goat?
Sacrificing it.
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Yeah, sacrificing it.
I'm sorry, I'm having flashbacks to my holidays in North Wales. So
there's a stupendous amount of Greeks.
And again, this is one of these projects that has been around for quite a long time, but it's one of these ones that's very, very inspirational because it's packed with stuff in there that if you were like going to start out playing Mortal Gods, I'd be like, I'd direct people to this and be like, go and check out this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. Shows you how you can paint your models. Shows you all the different steps. Shows you the colors that you need to play around with. Where to get your transfers and all that kind of thing. There's even full-on battle reports in this project as well, where Panzerkaput has gone through showing off like how the different forces clash with each other and that kind of thing. There's also bits of terrain and everything in there too, which is really cool. So yeah, a full-on awesome project that is just laden down with Greek excellence.
Grexcellence.
Grexcellence. There we go. That'll work.
What a super army.
Yeah.
That would be a joy to own an army like that, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really would do.
Well, I own an army like that. It's just not painted.
The thing that gets me is the detail, the difference these little big man decals on the shields make.
God, yeah.
It's like,
It's something that came up because I was looking at over the weekend at my old Saga army of Vikings, and I remember being really happy with the way that they turned out. And then I realized that I'd just done the shields in just a flat blue, and I was thinking to myself, man, if I just put a transfer on that, that would look 10 times better.
Rejuvenate that army.
Yeah, and same for my Saxons as well. Just go in, put a different cover on it, and I think it will work even better. But yeah,
bases and faces, or in this case, bases and shields will do.
Yeah,
I believe they're actually fairly easy to put on as well.
Oh god, yeah. So, they're not too bad once you know what you're doing. The hardest part is sometimes just cutting them to shape.
Right,
you're having to break out scissors and go trim around. I really love them, and I love the work he's done on the Roman buildings, because a lot of it is from his Gangs of Rome stuff, and you see things like frescoes and graffiti on the walls of some of the buildings as well, and I mean even things like that. There's a little marker with more work on that shield than I could be bothered doing. Never mind one to be tossed on the ground. So yeah.
Right. I'm going to give away one more. Okay.
The final fog and friction.
Which is the final fog and friction. And let's do a quiz this time. Okay? So let's do a quiz, right? So we're gonna think of a question.
He's breaking the format.
I know. I want to see who's listening, right? So we're going to do a quiz. So Ben's going to ask you guys a question.
Oh, what?
I'm trying to think of a historical question because I listen to loads and loads of historical books these days, but it all kind of gets muddled up in my head. And right now, all I can think about is an Egyptian king with an extremely large ego, and I can't think of anything else. So Ben, let's get a question. Let's get a question about Greeks.
Okay.
Right? Let's get a question about Greeks.
Okay. What was the name of the battlefield where the hot gates were situated when the Spartans held out against the Persians? There we go. I hope you remember what the answer is as well.
I do, but the thing that amuses me the most is that before you'd even asked the question,
you got the answer.
Stephen throwing an answer in there.
Yeah.
There is only one winner here, and that's Marshall New at Thermopylae by Toros 60.
Who managed to work out the answer before the question?
He worked out the answer before you finished the question. To be fair, Ben, as soon as you said what's the name of the battlefield, I thought, oh God, this is going to be Thermopylae, isn't it? Yes.
Well, yeah.
Toros, you are our final winner of the night. Yeah, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend Blue Monday with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us and joining in. Yeah, it's been great. Big thanks to Free over at Wayland and Stu over at War Cradle. Massive thank you to Justin back in the studio for helping us with all the technical aspects of this. As you know, we're all still remote from one another, so it all feeds back into the Riverhouse Studios, where Justin is then piping it back out to ye old interwebs.
Piping hot streams all over the place. It's
big team effort as always, guys. You know, Lloydie has been involved in it behind the scenes, and yeah, if there's anybody I've missed.
I was going to say, I will say as well, like one of the main premises behind this was the idea of like buoying people up and getting people back into painting and all that kind of thing, and making people enjoy even the worst day of the year. So what I would say is that if you have been inspired by what we've shown off today or whatever, go and check out all the projects and all that kind of thing, and just dive into the project system and like and share and that kind of stuff. And if you have like a collection of things that you're painting right now and you haven't built a project yet, it's really simple to go and do it. Go and hop on over. We always talk about it on Sundays on the XLBS show and that kind of thing as well. So make sure to dive in and just share what you're painting, because it really, really helps people get back to painting on the tabletop. Because I know it's changed my mind so many times. Like, as I was saying before, like seeing the work by people like 144 artists and that kind of stuff made me go back in and paint more stuff that was just sitting there unpainted.
Sharing is caring, folks.
Definitely.
Sharing is caring. Right. The rest of this week, Wednesday night, I'm doing my old radio show. So if you've never joined me on the radio show, go and join our Discord. I'll put a link into the chat. Or actually, Ben will put a link into. No, I'll put a link into the chat. I've got to find it here. But basically, I do this old radio show thing on a Wednesday night, right? And it's kind of like secret radios, pirate radio, basically, for our Cult of Games members. But as you know, the Discord part of the Cult of Games during the whole pandemic, we've opened up to everybody because we want to be there and support one another. Okay, so that means you can come in and avail of the whole radio show. And it's great crack. It is great crack. And it's a call-in show as well. So if you're in the Discord, you get to hop in and share your thoughts with folk and everything else. And the icing on the cake, there's always some hard rocking tunes. I mean, like it's... I am well renowned now within the OnTableTop community as the master of spinning those decks, and my playlists are immaculate, absolutely immaculate.
There's a question there about the book club announcement. Yeah. We will be making an announcement on the weekender, or are you going to do it on Wednesday?
I haven't decided yet. Tune in, and if I mention it, it was planned. And if I don't, it was planned.
And it's important to say the book club stuff is all around the Discord. So if you want to get involved in the book club and find out more about it, go and check out the Discord and find out. You'll see it all there. So.
There you go. Right, hit us up in the Discord, guys, and we will have some more crack on Wednesday night. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jerry. Always a pleasure to hobby with you, dudes. Somebody want to let Justin know we're ready to we're ready to go?
He's already sitting there ready to go, apparently.
Is he sitting there? Right, Justin, you can kill us off in 3, 2,